Alright, I know that I had closed up the last video, like I was all done, but I forgot the cutification of the skull and the eyeball. So that's what I'll be doing today. So we start by switching to our black arrow tool by hitting the V key, and uh, and then select the skull and double click it so that isolates it. Then it's no longer a single shape anymore, it's all individual ones, so you have to select all of them. So just drag a box around it, and when it's encompassed, let go. Then do an edit, I'm sorry, not edit, object, envelope, distort, make with mesh. Then I've found that 8x8 is the best for me to use. By hitting preview, you can see it working, but so if you don't know what you're gonna need, it's good to view an 8x8. But for me, an 8x8 allowed me to encompass this eye socket with a line below it, and just above it, and the other side. It also did the same pretty much for this eye. So remember that for cutifying, you need to make the eyes bigger and the nose and mouth smaller. So we continue by hitting A to go to the white arrow tool and click off it just so that it deselects everything. And click once on it, and you can see that it starts to brings up all the points that you can move. So what we're going to do is start by shrinking the mouth down. So we're just going to drag a box around all the vertices, all the anchor points for the mouth, and there we go. You see they turn from white to selected, and we're going to switch to the scale tool by hitting the high key S, and it puts the center of it on the thing, and hold the shift key down to constrain the proportions, and click and drag towards the center. As you see it, the box shrinks it, and if you let go, the mesh itself shrinks. Now obviously we're not going to want this location for it. Oh, maybe we will, but so hit A to take it off, and we want to make the nose a bit smaller as well. By doing that, it kind of made this eye bigger like we wanted it. Not exactly like we want though. We want the cheek, we want the bottom of the socket to be a little further out. I was hoping that would do it, but I think we have to do the reverse. We'll bring this out, and because the nose is pulled all funny, we're going to increase this anchor point longer, and it should bring the nose back a little bit, which is more what we want. I'm going to just increase this a little bit. So I'm going to go about the same, just pulling the vertices around, and I'll talk more after I'm done. Alright, I think that's about as much as we're going to cutify this. We switch back our black arrow tool by clicking B, double click on the background away from the skull, and so now if you click on the skull, it's all one object again. It still has that envelope on it, but it really doesn't matter for right now. What we're going to do is lock it by hitting Control 2. That way there is no way to select it by accident, and we're now going to move on to putting eyeballs on them. And we're going to start with one eyeball and just copy it over. So we decide where the center of it will be, which I think will be in the center of the socket. You start taking it out, you hit Alt to omit from the center point, and Shift to constrain aspect ratio. And you want it very big. It doesn't really matter if it sticks out a bit. My fingers slipped off at the last moment. So again, we'll do a Shift and Alt and let go once you get it to that size. Now we're going to want to put a gradient on it by clicking the gradient tool. And that puts like the standard white to gray black gradient, which we don't really want, but it will work for now. But so we want to change the gradient from linear to radial, and you see that it's radiating from the center of the eye, which we do want, but we don't want as much black as white. So we hit G, the hotkey of G, which brings up the gradient tool, and we just drag this line to the left a little, or to the right, I'm sorry, and it just decreases the amount of darkness. Now you could go in, you can hit the V key to go back to selection mode, and you could use the black to white gradient if you wanted, but I think what I'll do is I will drag one of the bone colors, maybe this middle bone color, over top of the. Alright, you have to be careful not to go outside of the. Then just drag it over this slider here, and you see the effect happen in real time here. So we're going to lock this as well by hitting Control 2, because we don't have a need to Alright, next we're going to make the iris of the eyeball. So once again, we use the ellipse tool by hitting high key L, and again, you go where you want the center of it to be. I think I want the eye looking mostly at you, but a little over to the side. So click and drag, and again, click Alt to center it, and Shift to constrain proportions. Make it fairly big, because after all, these are cute googly eyes. Now, obviously, we are gonna want a gradient, but we aren't gonna want this the white to bone gradient. We're gonna want to make it blue, so I'll go and drag this blue over, and then maybe this dark blue or the other one. I think that looks alright. And so the next step I will do is copy that object. I'm going to hit Control C, but I went and did that anyway, right? Because we want to assign an effect to this, but we also want to then put the blue back over it. So what we're going to do is in the SVG filters, you want to apply AI wood grain, which seems kind of weird when you think of it, but it gives a nice look to it. It's when you go to appearance, and if you click on wood grain, it doesn't give you any of the options. I was kind of thinking that it might give you an option of how big you want the grains to be, but obviously not. So what we're going to do then is edit, paste in place. So that puts our blue eye in front of it. Now for the opacity, we're just going to click on opacity and change the change the overlay from normal to hard light. So it's still blue, but you can see some of the variation inside. But we're not going to need this anymore either, so Control 2 to freeze it. And we switch back to our black arrow tool by hitting V, and then freeze it by hitting Control 2 again. So that's frozen the color iris and the wood grain behind it. So now what we're going to do is make we're going to make a bit of detail, a starry detail in the eye itself. So again, actually, you know, that's kind of screwy. Let's make about the size of what we want the pupils, and you let go and it makes iris, and now it's already this number of points because I messed with it. But if you hit if you hit the down arrow key, it reduces the number of points, and the up arrow key increases that. So we're just going to increase it, and we're going to make sure that it's a solid color by clicking the solid color. And for this one, let's make it the dark blue color is fine. So let's go in and try to get the middle again, and we drag out we're going to drag out a new star. Let's push up to increase the number of points, but we're going to have it a little off kilter of the original, which with the number of points different, it's not going to make a big difference. But this one we're going to make like a yellow, a bright yellow. Well, yeah, let's make it a bright yellow. And then under opacity here, instead of clicking on the word opacity, we're going to click the pull down to make it 10% opacity. We select, oops, I'm thinking that I may have wanted to do the other one while we had it selected, but we're going to zoom into it by holding Alt and using the scroll wheel up, and it should allow us, if we're still on our black arrow, which we are not, we are in the star tool. That's why it did that to me. So we switch back to our black arrow tool by hitting V, and we click on the other one. We're going to change the opacity of this one as well. Let's not have it quite as transparent, not 20 but 30, so you can somewhat see the yellow lines and the dark blue lines. So we're holding Shift, we're going to select the yellow one as well, and we hit the Control G to group them together. Now that they are grouped, we do an edit, paste in place of the color iris that we had before, and we hold Shift and click on the radiating stars, and we click Object, Clipping, Mask Make, or Hotkey Control 7. So then it crops everything out except for what was over the center part, which since now we're all done with that, we had Control 2 to lock that as well. Now we want to make our final ellipse, and so we go to about the center of this, and we hold down Alt and Shift to constrain their proportions and make it just big enough so that it goes over top of the center of the star. And because this is the pupil, we want it pure black, so we're going to change it to a color, and we're going to change the color to black. And this doesn't look like it's centered properly, so I'm going to switch back to my black arrow tool by hitting B, and I'm just going to grab it and move it a bit. Now we hold Alt and scroll down so that we scroll out a little bit, and the eye is pretty much done. So what we're going to want to do is object unlock all, but we don't want the skull obviously, so we click away from it and then click on the skull, and we lock that by hitting Control 2, and then we select all the parts. Oops, that's one of the hearts in the background, so we'll Control 2 that as well. Okay, it doesn't have any other problem. So we're going to select all of the middle eye piece and hit Control G, so that it's now all one piece. You can see that by plugging off. So we're just gonna place it right where we want the eye to be, and then move over it and hold Alt down, which is the copy. Move it and move it over to this side. Now, thanks to perspective, this eye will be a bit smaller. So move over to the corner and drag it downwards, and hold the shift to lock the aspect ratio. We see that it needs to be a bit smaller still. Alright, yeah, now we have to move it a bit in place. There we go. Now I could go crazy and move it closer, and then I have to make a ridge for the nose, but I'm not gonna worry about that because it's just a cute Valentine's Day thing. In fact, well, those are the eyes, and in fact, while we're here, let's add some text to it as well. So we hold space bar down to be able to move it, and we switch to our text tool by hitting T, and we click what's on here, and we're just gonna type Happy Valentine's Day, and actually I'm gonna erase that, as I'm gonna put everything in all caps. Now, obviously the size and color is incorrect, but alright, we're gonna go in to change the size and color. Now, to do this, you have to select all of them, and you can't really see the color here, but whenever you click on character, it brings up the character box. Apparently it doesn't show color here either, although it does show the font size, which we're gonna want it pretty big. Now we're gonna go right to 72 point. And now I thought it was all in caps, but I was incorrect, so we're going to change it to all caps here, and we're going to click again on the character button. Well, let's actually change the font while we're here as well. So click back on the character and pull the thing down. That works alright for it. Let's click back on character, and we change the color, and I'm going to change it to yellow, and then click again on the thing. We're going to switch back for black arrow tool, which whenever you have text selected, you have to click the actual button. Use key V, or it'll type V, and it'll erase everything that you had. Alright, we're just going to move this down a bit, and you can actually see that we're losing Valentine's off the screen a lot. So I'm actually going to go back in by double clicking. Okay, double clicking doesn't seem to work. We're gonna choose the text tool and go into it again just by clicking it. Okay, by clicking it doesn't allow you to do anything. So let's go back to our black arrow tool again. Remember, you're in text, so you can't do that by using hotkey. And it created this weird artifact right here, so we're just gonna hit delete to get rid of it. We're gonna go back and select the text, and then choose T, which allows you, when you go over to instead of making a new text, it allows you to to go back over and to affect the text that's here. So we're just going to enter and bring that down, and obviously Chris's name is going to have to be a lot lower. This font is really kind of screwy. Actually, while I'm editing it as well, I will fix the spelling of her name, because apparently my keys stick. It's not my being sent to spelling my fiance's name wrong. But so we're gonna leave it like that. But I think actually what I'll do for using this space a little better, we're going to modify the alignment of the text a bit. And I do that just by hitting space, but we're going to go back to the black arrow tool again by clicking the button, not by typing the hotkey. We're going to put an effect on it by choosing effect stylize of shadow. From this distance, you can't really see the shadow. Oh, of course, you can't see it at all because I haven't put the preview on. But putting the preview on goes through progress and puts it on. I think we don't want to get too fancy, so just the standard is fine. We're going to go with the defaults. That alone looks pretty good as is, so we're just going to click off it, and that's my finished thing. So So please let me know if you like the format of these videos. I like it a lot, and I'm hoping that you do as well. But if you don't, maybe I'll change it. If not, I will leave it as is. But as always, this is Mr. Young, and keep drawing.